I used to go to CEX at least once a week, sometimes 2 or maybe even 3 times to see if they've had anything traded in. But lately, I go there very infrequently. I could go there once or twice one week and then not go for another 3. I have only popped into my local CEX very briefly over the past maybe month or 2, so I thought I would take a little time to go around the store and have a look to see what has changed, what's been traded in, if they've moved any of the stock around, and of course I'll have a little look in the glass as well to see if they've got any special editions, what retro games they have, and in fact I'm going to start there first. I don't normally do this in my CEX because it's not very often that it actually looks this neat, so if you want to pause it to have a little look at any of the games, feel free to do so. It is going to be difficult to tell what those N64 games are because for some reason they put on the side. If you were to look above like that, maybe you could see some Mario games there, a Turok game as well, and of course some Game Boy games, which I can see, and for some reason I didn't tilt the phone so that you could see them either. Lots of variants of Switches, the original Game Boy there looking pretty nice, although the price on it not so much. Mega Drive 2 at about 45 quid, and outside they have an awful lot of special editions in the window. Someone traded in quite a few Fallout special editions. They do have a Borderlands one as well. There is a South Park one at the bottom and a few other random ones like a Splinter Cell one and a Shenmue 2 or 3 as well. I don't think that's an expensive special edition. It was, in my opinion anyway, a little bit more common than perhaps you'd first think it was. And then we come to the Wii U section, a section I used to go to quite a lot, but I've noticed a bit of a trend happening here, and you'll notice that I'm not doing this to throw shade on CEX, by the way. I know a lot of people would assume that I was just trying to take the mick out of them for trying to sell cover reprinteds, but why I'm pointing it out is I kind of noticed this almost straight away, and I feel like there's been a lot of theft with the Wii U recently, and I do point out others in like the Wii and maybe some other consoles as well, but a lot of people will go into these stores with the just pure intention of taking the inserts from these games to complete their own collections, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the main reasons why they have cover reprinted in the first place. But it just, I mean, it is a very scummy thing, and look, it's one of those sort of things that they have to deal with, and it's not really easy to police. I mean, who's nicking a £3 insert there? Like the whole game, manual game insert, £3, and people are nicking it. This is another revelation that I had while I was there. I was thinking, if you're not too bothered about the way that these games control and the graphics, and you just want to play them for what they are, you could easily build a very nice Wii collection for a lot of games that are on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, like Need for Speed Carbon, The Run, etc. You could buy all these games super cheap, because there's no platform out there that is as cheap as the Wii, and you can get all these games. Okay, this one's 25 quid. I don't remember seeing this on any other platform, so maybe it is unique to the Wii, but you could play all of these games on this platform so cheap. Yeah, they might not look as good, you know, just a step above the PS2 in some senses, but you can get a lot of value out of the Wii if you're willing to put up with its sort of downside, if you will. And then as I move over to the PS2, the first thing that I saw straight away was this Godfather limited edition, £18 steelbook. I was actually very surprised that this is out on display upstairs where there are no staff. I think I've ever seen a staff member upstairs, actually. So you walk up the steps and they've got all the DVD up there, as well as what video games you're about to see, and that's pretty much about it. Like, it's a decent space, to be fair, but there's no counter, there's no staff. I never see staff up there, so it would be quite easy for someone to, okay, I'm sure there's cameras, right, but it would be quite easy for someone to just nick that, and it's valuable. Okay, you've got other games there like Simpsons Hit and Run, for example, which is a little bit more valuable, but to see a steelbook on the shelf like that upstairs where it's unmanned was a little bit a little bit weird, shall we say. I wouldn't expect it. Normally they put games like that behind the counter. I did look it up, incidentally, to see whether it was worth picking up to flip, potentially, and it's about that. You know, might go for about 20-25 if it's in really good condition with a manual, etc. But I've left it there for someone else to hopefully not nick. They've got PSP upstairs. I never normally look at the PSP. Same with PS Vita. And it's because for the longest time it's been downstairs in a really awkward place on like a top shelf that you just can't really get to or film. Most Wanted there on the PSP, not the sort of carbon copy of Most Wanted, of course, but still a good game on the PSP. I did have one back in the day, and I actually had one before most people. You don't get this anymore, but I went to Tenerife the year the PSP was released. I think it was released in like September of whatever year it came out, right? And I went to Tenerife July of that year, and they were selling them on the island. And I bought mine with FIFA and Untold Legends, I think it was, and a couple of other games. And I played it for, you know, all of the summer, I guess. And then I literally sold it about a week after it came out for top dollar, because they weren't selling out necessarily. But again, I sold it for close to retail. I sold it for more than I paid for it. And I sort of dabbled in it every now and again, like went back to it and played it. Didn't really give it the chance it deserved. It's a fantastic system. Almost a little bit ahead of its time in a sense, because I mean it could easily have rivaled the Switch in sort of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The way it sort of revolutionised handhelds, and then of course come to another revolutionary handheld in the DS. I mean, that thing was mental. I remember those were selling out. They were very much like the Wii, actually. The Wii was selling out all over the place, and people were going to the DS because they couldn't get the Wii. And I remember just having a big run when I worked in Game Station on all the different colours. Oh, we've only got white and silver in stock, and people were so angry that we didn't have the red and the lime and all the other colours. People were coming in you just wouldn't expect to be buying video games. And of course Nintendo pioneered that, didn't they? Just introducing a whole world of people who never played video games into video games. This is a game that is really annoying, right? Cuphead, I love the art style of it, and I've seen videos of it, and I want to play it, but I've been putting it off. And the reason I've been putting it off is because I want it physical. The other month even, I saw it for £12 on the Xbox One. The reason I didn't buy it, the case was a little bit chewed on the spine, and of course the spine is what you see when it's on the shelf, so I didn't buy it. I'll find it again, it's only 12 quid, it's fine. It's now £28, as someone pointed out to me in the comment section the other day, and I am now kicking myself that I didn't buy it for 12 quid. Deadpool there for 70 or 75, whichever one you want to pay. Of course, it is coming down. It did go up above 100 at one point, but the fact that they've got that on the shelf, again, okay, this is downstairs, so it is manned. You know, you do see staff walking around quite a lot, but 70 quid on the shelf, two of them, and people can easily just walk up and steal the insert. I mean, that is a type of game where if you were to take the case and the insert and you took it and put it on eBay, you could probably get 20-25 quid for it, and it's just sat there on the shelf doing nothing, ready to be taken. I don't really like it when they put things behind the counter, because it kind of like you have to go up to the counter to look at it, or maybe you have to look online to even see if they have it in stock. But at the same time, I do feel like for those type of price tags, they should really be holding things like that behind the counter, because people are scum at the end of the day, and people will nick those things, and then you'll have a cover reprinted. And I don't know about your store, but for some reason, all of the cover reprinteds that I've looked at today, the ones on the Wii U especially, they were horrendous. Like the quality of the print. Back in the day, you used to get really shady tactics from CEX where they would print off the cover, not put cover reprinted on it. And it would kind of half look like a sort of faded cover. Like some people would find it difficult to tell whether it was actually a reprinted cover or not. In fact, I have one. Command & Conquer Tiberium Wars on the 360 is one of those games. But they've now gone the other way, so they've now put cover reprinted in the corner, of course, which is good because it's clear that it's not the original cover, but at least they used to look good. Now, the quality of them is just, I mean, it is subpar. It is so bad. I've actually gone from complaining that they even sell cover reprinteds to complaining now about the quality of the cover. I know. In my opinion, they should charge less. It's not really our fault that the case has been nicked. It's not their fault the case has been nicked either, or whatever happened has happened to the game and they have a loose copy of it. But I don't really feel like they should be charging full price for cover reprinted games. They do, but, you know, each to their own, I suppose. Some people don't care, other people do. I would never buy a cover reprinted game. I don't care if I was desperate for it. I didn't even buy Cuphead, which was an original cover, just because it had a nick out of the spine. quick interjection just to talk about channel members. Thank you very much for everyone who has signed up so far. New channel member joined yesterday, and I appreciate you greatly. If you want to get in on the action, you can find the link in the video description. Now, without any further ado, let's get back to CEX. Back into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. I've talked about that a little bit, and I'm going to actually in an upcoming video. And then I picked this up. I've had it before on the PS4. I don't think I played it, or maybe I did, I can't remember, but I know about it. You literally just observe rides in the theme park as far as I'm aware. I don't think there is actually anything else to it. It is the strangest game ever. Like, who would want to do that? If it was an actual theme park, like Disneyland, for example, and you walk around it and you can experience what an actual theme park or what the actual theme park looks like, I get it, but it's not that at all. So if you've played it, let me know what the appeal of that game is. Looking at the PS5 games, they've sort of put this section into the corner. They don't have many of them. They had a little bit more in terms of Xbox One selection, but again, even that is sort of dwindling a little bit. I'm not sure whether it's because of the time of year or whether because there just aren't that many games compared to the PS4 and the 360 and such, so it maybe looks like it's far less. But Hitman 3, right? A game, fantastic game, but a game that just holds its price. You look at that game in 6 months' time, it's going to be about 25, 28 quid. You look at that game 6 months ago, about 25, 28 quid. It's always either 25 or 28. I think once it went to 30. But there we are. Silent Hill 2, new release, they're at 55. Someone played it and then traded it in the way that it used to be. Don't get many people who do that anymore. Buy a new release, play it, enjoy it, trade it. And that's what happened with Undisputed. Maybe not enjoy it, but played it, traded it in. It's there for 45. I'm glad I bought it at launch. I mean, I got it for about 45, I think, on the Xbox. I don't know how much it trades in for, how much they would even sell it for on the Xbox, and I haven't played it for a little while, if I'm honest, but I am glad I bought it. One of the only new releases I have bought in the last, I don't even know how long, but I'm glad I did. Another game I really wanted to play is a game I'm going to pick up in just a second here, and you're going to have to let me know whether you think it's any good. It is not this game. I don't know what that is. It looked interesting. This is the game I want to play, though, because I love the first two, and it is Test Drive, and I think it's called Solar something or other. But if you've played that game, let me know what you think of it, because I haven't really seen much of it, and I'm very reluctant to look at footage of it. I'd rather just play it. But at the same time, I can't justify spending the money on it. I don't know if it's on Game Pass. It might be. I don't think it is. Let me know in the comments if you've played it, though, and whether it's worth a pickup if you think I should get it or not. So, I'm looking around at some of the other games. I've had to chop and change the footage a lot here because I don't know why I decided to do it on this day, but I decided it would be a good idea to walk into CEX on Black Friday and film a bit of a tour. And I say a tour, it's literally just me looking at all of the games for nearly all of the platforms, right? And I say nearly all because I had to abandon the tour part way through because it was just so busy. So unfortunately, I will not be looking at the Switch because I'll show you in a second. I couldn't get anywhere near it, and I don't look at the PS3 mainly because I really don't care about the platform. But I just don't collect for it. There's another cover reprinted. They're not even trying to put them in the appropriate cases either. And again, I just go back to it. They really shouldn't charge full price for cover reprinted games, especially if they're going to put them in bog standard DVD cases. It just boggles my mind. The special edition of Mortal Kombat 1 there, of course, it would just be the bog standard edition because you don't get the DLC as it would have been used. I'm looking at this, right, and there's another cover reprinted there in Ori. Snow Day is over there from South Park. Really wanted that game, and I didn't even pick it up. I didn't even acknowledge it was there. Maybe I didn't even notice, I'm not sure. Anarchy Reigns there for a tenner, looking at the 360 section. I absolutely love this section. I don't really like where it is. I know it doesn't really matter to you, but to me, I preferred it when it was where the Xbox One used to be. I really wanted that FIFA Street as well, but again, unfortunately, cover reprinted, and it's not a good cover reprinted either. Not that it would have made a difference if it was identical to the original insert or anything, but it just goes to show that in this store in particular, they don't really try and make them look good anymore. And to me, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, whether it looks identical to the original case cover or not, because it's still a cover reprinted. But I don't know, take pride in your work, CEX. So, of course, I'm primarily looking for promotional copies here, things I can't really see online, or special edition slipcovers and such. Another cover reprinted there. It's just a pandemic in this store, really. The amount of theft they must have is absolutely mental. It's no surprise, the area that I live in, but still, Spec Ops line now down to 15, which is It's going in the right direction. I don't think it had any right ever being above 20 quid. In fact, I don't think it's got any right being above a fiver, if I'm being perfectly honest, because it is not a good game. Split second then, I didn't even realise. I really want that game, and it's just the same cover reprinted copy, and obviously I'm not going to buy that. So a little bit frustrated, but that almost concludes the end of my CEX tour, and the reason for it, I've already touched upon it in this video actually. It was just super busy. I was actually very lucky to catch the store in a bit of a lull when I first went in, and I managed to record as much as I did. But then as I went to move over to the Switch, and in fact even the last bay in the PS4, I couldn't get to it. There was a guy, I was kind of shuffling him along. I felt a little bit bad actually. I was shuffling him along as I was just trying to go through each section, and when I got to the end, then the Switch is sort of opposite side, and there was just way too many people there. The queue was coming out to the Switch section of people looking at the Switch games, and of course that's where the door is for the staff to go out the back as well, and that keeps opening and closing. It is a bit of a nightmare to look at the Switch in that section, so I just abandoned it altogether. And of course I already mentioned that I don't really look at PS3 if I'm being perfectly honest, but that is on the very near side near the counter, so it's quite difficult for me to film there anyway and not feel awkward, but there's just so many people there looking at the glass, queuing up at the counter, and I'm not interested in that platform anyway, so I kind of just steer clear of it, to be fair. But that is my local CEX on Black Friday. I did take shots at them, and in fairness, it's not really their fault. When it comes to cover reprinteds, it is just one of those occupational hazards of owning a video game store. And I know I'm on about CEX reducing the cover reprinteds, and I do believe they should do that. I think there should be a section on the website, or maybe just in store, where they like, well, it doesn't have a cover, we'll deduct 10-20% off the overall price of it, which would be a nice incentive for customers to buy up the cover reprinted, and maybe either say, look, you can't trade this back in cover reprinted, or if you do, it'll be at a much discounted rate. It's not really fair on them either, because people are nicking these cases to fulfill their own collections or to sell or whatever it may be, and now CEX are losing money on it. So it's not really fair that they have to reduce prices because people are nicking things. But at the same time, I suppose it just goes hand in hand with owning a retail store. What's the answer? Put everything under lock and key? I really don't see that being the case. Anyway, I could make a whole video about this, and maybe I will. Knowing me, I probably will. But for the time being anyway, that was a look at my CEX store on Black Friday. Was there anything there that you would have bought? Some special editions in the window maybe that you think I should go for if you like the look of them? I really do like the look of the Fallout special editions, and it is one of, up there anyway, with one of my most favourite games of all time, so it would kind of be nice. But where the hell would I put that thing? I mean, that helmet is massive. Not to mention how much it actually costs. But if you want to see more CEX content, then don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to check out another video from me in the meantime, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.